Boom. Oh, well, welcome, welcome. Yeah, welcome to this day, December 5th, 2023. Let's take a moment to just appreciate that. Yeah, that we're breathing, we're alive, and we are on Transformation Tuesday once again with Paradigm Shifters. You know, Paradigm Shifters, we are a growing, glowing community dedicated to shift, move that body, shift and uplift. I know as an OT, or you're shifting and uplifting the entire planet, right? Yeah, is awesome. So we've been doing this since March of 2020. And, you know, we keep growing in awareness in here. And I'm saying in here, in our heart. Mm-hmm. And for the month of December 2023, our topic are the gifts that we have to give and receive. The gift of love, the gift of hope and faith, the gift of peace, and the gift of joy. And today we're talking about the gift of love with Kay Steadman. Before we hop in here, I want to just take a little bit of like what was going on in my heart this morning when I was preparing for this. And you know what? In and it follows the Advent, which is one of, a tradition and stuff. And love is love in all these readings is down towards Christmas more. And I think it's great to shake it up and to bring it right at the beginning of December, And so I want to read to you a thing and then tell you a little story about looking back and this gift of love that I did not think was a gift at the time. So let's take a deep breath in. Okay, so this little quote is, "Love is personal and sacred, human and divine, immediate and immortal. Amid seasonal greetings for joy and peace, I give thanks for this power of love." Pretty cool. So here's my love story. So I was thinking, like, why is this December uncomfortable for me? And what is that? And I was sleeping, and I like woke up and like, oh right, I remember back when I was a kid, my mom, we had this thing called the Christmas Club, and we would get a quarter each week throughout the year to go down, put it in the bank in the savings, so that at this time we would take all the money, which is maybe about $10 or so. We were going down, and she was teaching us banking and money skills, right? And so I got like all this money in this little change purse. And one of the things that she said is, do not take any of that money to school with you. It's to go to the Boston store and buy presents for everybody next week, or, in a couple weeks. I'm like, okay. Of course, I never quite listened to my mom, right? So, and I remember taking it, and my way of getting to school was to go down the creeks, right, and hop from there. And I was always greasing into school after like playing outside in nature. So I get there, and of course I had this little change for this money in it, and I got to school, and it had been lost. Totally lost. And I'm like, oh, I felt shame, guilt, a lot of guilt growing up, and this and that. And it came the day, all of December, it came the day when we would get in this station wagon, go to the store to get presents. And I did not have the courage to say anything to my mom about it. And everybody else in the family, all of us get it. And we got into the Boston store, and she called me over, and she gave me back my change purse. she said the neighbor found it and gave it to me. And I hope you learned a lesson or whatever. I didn't at the time, but I was just so grateful, thinking, well, how dare she, like this and that. Looking back, it was her way of showing love and lessons. And anyway, that's where I'm at this day. And the fact that she had the gift of love to have us save a quarter each week for this time of year. So with that, the gift of love, that's my little story. I'm going to bring Kay Steadman in here, one of my buddies, yes. And let me tell you a little bit about Kay. She's a student and teacher in life mastery as a consultant. I love this. She believes that everything and everyone is her teacher. So with over 33 years as a professional occupational therapist, and over 20 years as an entrepreneur, she leads transformation for others as well as herself, believing the very best is yet to come and seeking to emerge. So come on in here, Kay. I'm going to turn it over to you. And what do you know about this power of love?
Well, I tell you, thank you. I'm so honored and privileged to be here today. And, that sounded like, when I was growing up, oh, yeah, that's just what you say. But I really am, honored to talk about the gifts of love and just like the lessons that we have, those that feel good and don't feel good. So thank you for having me today. And I want to invite all of us all around the world, if that's where you are, in your area where you are just this moment right now. I ask you to open your heart and look at what I'm going to present to you today, as a way to have a better day, a better life, and a better Christmas, where we talk more about love. So in the gift of love, I have 3 presents for you today to open. And we're going to open them with our mind and our heart, and we're going to see if we can align those. And I want to do that with the same curiosity and exploration, like the gifts when you were a kid under the tree, if you had them, or a gift that someone gave you. It didn't have to be at Christmas, the gift that someone gave you. The same curiosity, the same exploration about what that might be, like finding in this world where love is for you. So my 3 presents are the resistance to learning a greater capacity to love and receive love. And number 2, the second gift is the awareness of love's presence, despite maybe an uncomfortable place that you might be in right now or have been in the past that might wake you up at night. And third, the calling of abundant love within you first, and to call on. And it's really deciding who you're going to be so you manifest greater love and pull that in. So those are the 3 gifts we're going to open today. And I'm going to start with the first one. In curiosity, it's really funny how the counterparts of an emotion and a place of being, like love, the lack of love can teach us more about love, in ourselves. And so I look at, Judy's story similar to one that I had. And younger in my life, I guess I was early teens. I was driving, not early teens. I wasn't driving early teens. This was early adulthood. And my parents had separated. And I was recalling the times we were around the tree. I mean, it was a big deal. We had the music on. We were all singing. There's 6 of us kids and parents. And so everybody had their little string of lights, paired up, and would hand them. And we'd go around the tree and popcorns and, strings of popcorn. And we ate more than we strung up. And, just the whole gambit. And when our parents separated, and they needed to, looking back, they needed to, even at the time, I knew they needed to, for some of the things that were going on. And even through that, I missed that happy time. And it was never going to be the same from that perception, never going to be the same again. to the point where I decided if it's not going to be that, I'm just not going to, you know, partake with it. I'm just going to be by myself. So Christmas Day, I decided the Sonic was open, and I decided to pull up at the Sonic. And at the Sonic, there were all these cars. And I'm going, all these people are alone too. I'm going like, you know, in that moment, I started thinking less about that missing of that and said, this goes on, you know, all the way around with all these people. And I looked at the people in the car while I was eating. I didn't even finish my sandwich. I went to join the people that I loved. And I shifted, is that I am going to create the kind of Christmas from here on out that I would love with what is there. And you know, it was a changer for me. My sister had started to have kids, so I went to see them be happy and sing and do some of the different things. So it would be years that I would glean little lessons and pulls and grow my heart in that presence, that you always have a capacity, you know, to take a situation is where can I love greater. And so that first story, the resistance, I was resistant. If you look at that story, I was resistant. I didn't have this. I didn't want this. And my perception was just on this one little plane. And, you know, I learned a great lesson this past year, because, you know, being a therapist, you're always wanting to lead, but to be led by a teacher who's significant in her skills, you know, this is me being a student. And I was being coached, and I broke down and was crying, and I started to pull myself out of the quick. She goes, no, don't do that. So I'm telling you to feel the emotions you deeply feel to the depth that you felt them. And had I not separated myself and gone to the Sonic, I wouldn't have seen all the other people that were having whatever kind of Christmas. In my mind, some of them, you know, they were sharing their best Christmas. On some of them, they could have been this. They could have been all over the map. But I was choosing. And so I chose differently. And that led many things in my life. And I have pretty much a good time, not all the time, but I go back to that. Who you deciding to be today? Are we deciding to receive or decide to give love? You know, and how many different ways that we can do that. So if you're in a point where you're experiencing lack and your lack of, I want you to go deep inside your heart and say, where's the party I'm going to throw for me? Where is that love that I can't wait for somebody else? Where is that place in me that love starts to warm my heart? What is this lack of love telling me here? Is that good and love can be the seed in you that you put in others to shift the seed of good that's there and grow it. And you can grow it into anything you want. What are you choosing today? You know, so that present unfolds and unfolds and unfolds if I look at me first and not what happened on the outside. What happened on the outside opened me up. And it'll open you up. So the second part, you know, of the present that I spoke of was your awareness to love's presence. Okay. And my awareness of love's presence has come in many different forms. I can recall the first relationship when it goes south. I mean, I poured everything I had into that relationship. And there were things that happened in childhood to this person that, you know, no control. But sometimes in life you decide to be the boundary that says, I am this person. I am good. I am good with your heart. And by the end of that, when that relationship ended, it was for me to love myself more than I loved wanting to save somebody from another, patterns of behaviors that they had control of and their belief about them. So the part I'm telling you is when you have a deep love of self, when you can look in that mirror and you can say, I love that gal in the mirror. I put her through hell and back, and she shows up for me every day. Every day she shows up for me, and she's got this little look in her eyes that, you know what? If I'm not looking like I'm going to have some fun, the girl goes, hey, where you at? Where you at? So where you at today? And so in this discomfort of love and love's presence, again, I'm going back to the healthiest thing that we can be on this planet is a good, okay, happy person. And if I'm choosing that, if I'm not choosing that, what am I choosing? That has a gift for you too, believe it or not. So if I'm not choosing it because of a belief, then I'm going to chalk down, what is that belief? Is that belief I can't be happy or loving or receive love unless whatever that was for you. I thought I could give enough into having a love on that last example. And that's not true. You can't give and give and give without giving to yourself. You can't give into a void. And so it helped me years and decades later to say, you know what? We're resilient. We are resilient as hell, and I say it because we are. I mean, if you think about it on another plane, on a physical plane, if I had every scraped knee and busted knuckle and skin up and knock myself out, if all those hit me at one time, I'd be dead. He doesn't give it to you all at one time, and all along the way, it's like did I not get back on the bike the first time I skinned my knee? No. It's really funny how the first time you skin it, you've never seen the insides of under the skin, and you're going like, is this bad? It hurts like hell. I feel every little nerve ending, and that's sometimes with love. We feel every little nerve ending on the heart. It feels like sometimes you can pull the scab off, like it's that raw. And so what good can be found in that? Well, you heal up, you look at it from different places, aspects on the table, and you say, I'm getting back on the bike. Because life without love is not life. Life without love doesn't feel that good. And you know what? It took me a long time on that second lesson of the first relationship ending. I was in a big field, 500 acres, working. The only shade I had is when a cloud passed over. And I was doing a job that they said later, I don't know how you did that. I was in a depression going through this because I wanted what I wanted. And finally, I stood in the middle of that field and I hollered out as loud as I can, this person's name. And it echoed into a silence. And it's the first time my heart said, they're not coming back. Now, what do you want? And I said, well, what it said just like that. Not coming back. That silence just echoed into, what do you want? What is it you want? Well, I don't want to love any less than what I've loved because it's not playing full out. I don't want any more of that if it's not coming. But, at some point down the road, I want to love like I want to be loved like I love people. And so, when it turns around your awareness in this discomfort, I would have never known that. So I want to be a good steward of time and go on to your third gift, which is calling in abundant love within you first. So when you sit there, at 14 or 15, we're checking ourselves out in the mirror. And I think we ought to do that again, because when you can look yourself in the eye, it can be a funny game. But until you find that person that looks back in the eye, until you start telling them, I see you, I am love. I am made from what love's presence is, and it's immense. Let me tell you, the experiences that you will have when you do this, and you find the love in you first, and it starts to come in. It's a magnet. Love finds you, but you gotta throw it out here first. And so I used to say I had big shoulders, but I have a big heart. I have a big heart. And in that heart, when I've gone to within first, it's funny how, God gives you the physical plane to help you see things on an intangible level, on a level of invisible. And so um when I was training, I was wanting to get back in shape after college. And I wanted to train all my life. I wanted to know if I had what it took, from the inside to run a marathon. So I want to know if I had physically what it took, and I want to know emotionally if I had what it took to do the training that it would take at that particular time. And so I in that running, it was, you build your base up to 8 miles a day. So I had done that. And I noticed that when I was doing that, I went and got the most expensive shoe that you could get. I went to the people, hey, help me. I was a young therapist. I didn't know as much as I know now. And I call that being an experienced therapist. is is I went and got the most expensive shoe is what they sold me, and it wasn't what I needed. All right. So the toe box was, where the pad of your foot is was too wide, and mine have a narrow foot, all this kind of stuff. And so when I had a stress fracture and it put me on the sidelines for a while, I was going like, I never did not think that I was going to run this, but I was going like, oh gosh, it took me a while, but I was always focusing on the outer. Okay. The person in front of me, I got to pass that one, then I got to pass that one, then I got to pass that one. So during this sideline times, you start to learn a lot. Okay. And I started to say, well, why did I stress fracture? I'm only 20, I'm in my 27, 28. And so at the time while I'm being sidelined, well, I said, well, why don't we look at nutrition? Apparently, and I got the biomechanics down. I got the right shoe. I got the right supplements. I got the right, and I want to tell you all that during that sideline time, I aligned myself with the right help. Okay. The people who knew that, and I started reading, I started hanging out with people that had run marathons. I even, that year that it put me helping out at the marathon. And if you want to know something that's motivator, go stand by people that experience love. You're going to love greater. But for me at that particular time, when it came to running the marathon, I was like, I should be there. I should be there. So what do you think my training was like? No, boom, boom. I ran after those things injury free from the time the doctor released me and said, you can start slow in. I started running a quarter, walking a quarter a mile, running a quarter mile, walking a quarter mile, putting everything in place. In 11 months, I ran my marathon injury free. And I was in the top 25% of the women. And, it just blew out of the water. I come sprinting across. I'm just telling you, during that time, holding a vision of the love you want. But what happened during that, in that? Why am I using that? Because a marathon is the long game. It's a longer game. Yeah, people do the ultras and all like that. I didn't have an interest in my feet feeling like they were running 3 hours after I did it, and all the other things I love to do. Giving that up, I knew that I could do anything that I set my mind to if I did that. And I realized emotionally the things that I had been through in my life up until that point were emotionally way harder than running the marathon, than committing to that. It was way harder. So if you've never run a marathon, so what? But you're playing a long game with your heart here. And so supplement the love that you need for yourself, the nutrition that you need for your what feeds love. And it's both giving and receiving that happens. And I want to say one last thing. Every time I ran, I had, from the time he released me to the time I ran, I had a personal record. My time was better every time I ran. And I ran, a good bit to be able to get there. And there were things I love about running, even still. And many, many gifts along the way. So at the end of the deal, passing, get my little deal, I got a picture, yeah, great, great, great. But it was everything that I learned that on that way that I had, the new friends that I had, the new things I learned that fueled being a lifelong learner. You're going to be a lifelong lover to yourself so that you can love others and that you can call in this love. And when you're looking at the counterpart of what's showing up for you, there are hidden gifts in that. And my first thing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back to explore and be curious first. And I'll say, wait a minute, I'm choosing that, this thing I don't want to happen. I didn't want my heart to be crushed in that middle story, But what great gifts. I would never change anything that I did or happened for all the ways that led me to this day. They're mine. I call them my little trophies. So as far as that goes. So, spirit doesn't blame or shame, and neither should we if we look at it. Can I allow somebody to have a bad experience and or can I allow them to say something and not take it personally and just say that person is in this state and I'm in this state. I woke up this morning deciding I was going to be in this state, and by gosh, this one is pushing my buttons to stay there. Okay, I'll give you that. There's things that are going to push you maybe more than one day, a week, a month. Let yourself feel it because you're growing your heart. You are growing your heart to say, I can allow you to do that, but you're going to do that over there. The boundaries are healthy. So spirit doesn't blame or shame us. And if we start not blaming and shaming others in each one of these little gifts that we talked about opening, I think what you're going to find is that that these tools in spirit help us on this finite plane to fly in places we have never flown and feel love, to parts of this energetic body we have that we've never known. When you're around somebody that's electric, you're going like, wow, I can have some more of that. I want to listen some more of what they're saying or whatever they're teaching me about. There's people that teach me about stuff that are dry. It's dry information and they bring life to it. And I'm going like, I would listen to that. I'd go listen to that. Where are they speaking next? Yeah. So the 3 gifts I hope you got today is, number 1 is that you're learning to love at a greater capacity, both in giving and receiving, even in noticing your resistance to wanting to do so. That is a little red flag going up. Hang on, little Harpo. Hang on here a minute. Let's pull back into spirit. Let's pull back into the finite side of ourselves, because there are gems here for me. And the second one is the awareness of love's presence. You'll go from that into the awareness of love's presence, even though I'm uncomfortable. When we stop and we breathe and we blow it out, we're aligning ourselves with spirit, our higher self, our big self. I heard a little gal, she happens to be kin to me. I miss when I was big, and I said, you're big. You are big. You're just in a little body right now. I miss when I was big. It was amazing. And then the third one was the calling in of abundant love in your life. Looking at you first, being the resource for that abundant when we align. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your heart.
Wow.
Thank you for breathing air and being on the planet at the same time I am.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I took so many notes. I'm gonna be going back here and like, oh, gold nugget, gold nugget. And you know, I love, I've got like so many notes, but one of the things that you said is playing the long game with your heart.
Yeah.
Ah, and wow, like, and that we're resilient as hell.
Yes, we are. We are very resilient.
And what a beautiful way to start off this month of December with opening that gift of love first. And then what if that was the key to having, well, the rest of 23, the rest of your whole life?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what if, like, it's not New Year's Day? I mean, what if we do that now in preparation for the rest of our lives?
Mm-hmm.
OMG. This has like been so great. I'm so grateful for you. And what is our tradition here at Paradigm Shifters Transformation Tuesday is to put a blessing on you and ask you, what would you? I didn't even get to half my questions. I wanted to know about your occupational therapy and my background. We worked with OTs and PTs all the time, but my God, what a gift you are and
We are.
have been to so many people. So, what can we hold for you now? What would you love for us to hold for you as?
Well, I'm working on a project, um, and it's out of my hands at the moment as far as what I need to do to further on. But I am bringing together healthcare people in healthcare that may have been injured or retired that want to help veterans. And so I've written for a grant, and things are looking really, really good to create these micro communities. And yes, so I'm gonna be calling on coaches, yeah, because I plan for it to scale to these 8 groups, but then actual physical community. And so, my love for people and my love for the best of the best is in our brain to create and in our heart to create and believe it's there for us to have. And that those communities and these souls, I'll call them souls, sisters, brothers, that we rock the planet. That's what rock it with a lot of love and good times.
Well, count me in, and to be continued. And but the theme for 2024 for me and my groups is opening doors in 2024. Like, boom, what you're
I
doing.
love
Boom.
that. I love it. That's great.
So, yeah, let's take a deep breath in, and we're gonna send some love energy your way. Woo!
I'm taking
And
it.
yeah, yes, there you go. Yeah, yeah, take it all the way to. You in Louisiana right now?
I am today, yes.
I can't tell by your accent, right?
And no shy, you can't tell I'm from Louisiana.
Here it comes. Whoa, look at that. Wow. Thank you so, so much. What a
My
gift you are.
my
Yeah.
pleasure. My pleasure to be on the planet with y'all.
With us all.
With you
Yeah.
all, with all of us. You guys.
Oh, amen. Amen and amen.